And that way, for those of us who are going to be watching this on the replay, aloha and welcome. I'm Kamaile with Wellness with Mana, and I'm here on the island of Oahu in my hometown of Kailua. And I just want to say thank you so much for definitely jumping on today. And let's see here. I'll pin my video so you can see me. And then Sarah, since you're on your, since you're on your laptop, I'm going to go ahead and make you a co-host here. Where'd you go, Sarah? There you are.
I'm going to jump off real quick, so do that, and I will just make.
Okay. And then that way we can just keep on top of muting everyone. So welcome if you just definitely come in, and I'm about to get started here. We're just going to go ahead and just make co-host. Wonderful. All right. Yep, and I'm recording. So all good. All right, well, welcome again. This is Kamaile with Wellness with Mana, here locally here on the island of Oahu in Kailua. And every week we come together for the sake of just sharing knowledge. So thank you for being on this call with us. Thank you for showing up for whoever invited you to hear this information. They obviously care a lot about you and love you, and you're about to find out why, because we have all in some part of our journey come to really understand and know the power of what it means to really take control of our health and what that ultimately means for us individually, and how we can live really the best versions of ourselves throughout life. Because at the end of the call, I always note that really, at the end of the day, what do we have, guys? We have memories, we have each other, we have love between us, and hopefully we have health that keeps us through all of those aspects of our lives. So I want to tell you a little bit about myself, and then that way, you know really where I'm sharing from and why I'm so passionate about sharing. So I've been a Hawaiian health practitioner probably for the last 18, moving closer to 20 years now. And so that means to me that I've been not only practicing in the way of massage, Hawaiian lomi lomi, and manipulating people's physical bodies to get to better health, but also coming to understand what it means to align yourself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, as well as knowing and understanding and really studying each individual herb, everything that I could get my hand on that I could really help people to accelerate their healing process, whether it be from a broken bone or, something that helps to elevate our mood, elevate, the clarity of our mind, emotions, and even parts of it where it's helping us to aid in ho'oponopono, which is, that really making right within the center of our body, and an art of forgiveness, if you will. So leading up to that, I was, again, a Lomi practitioner. I taught Lomi for many of years with the blessing of my kumu and my teacher. But I moved away from that, thinking that I really didn't want to end up being a slave to just where I soon realized after years of actually practicing that if I didn't show up to my practice or somebody canceled on me, guess what? I wasn't getting paid, for one. And there was a part of me, my inner spirit, that really wanted to grow. So I gave myself permission to quote unquote play art. And I ended up starting a really successful on the outside business. And so it wasn't until I really had my son, and that was, gosh, nearly 5 years ago, that I really gave myself permission to even walk away from that, because I had spent 7 years trying to really make a living, and I was working 60 to 80 hours, no joke, on my feet. I had plantar fasciitis. I was still broke. I wasn't bringing in much, and I was just waiting for that, that like one big windfall. I was in Nordstrom's. I was in boutiques across the state here, all sharing my love for health and healing and well-being, and how that showed up for you in your life and your home. So I had my son, but I was depleted, guys. I was sick. I couldn't handle any stress whatsoever. I was either crying or I was like, just having breakdowns from the stress, of just having figuring out how to parent. I wasn't feeding myself very well. All the nutrition went to the baby. I was stressed out because we didn't have any money, basically at all. I ended up going bankrupt, honestly, with my business. All this stress. And the more I tell my story, this is why I'm telling you guys this, the more I tell my story, it's so not unlike so many other people's stories. There's so many people that are right now praying for some sort of change to come into their lives, whether it be on a health aspect, or whether it be like, please send me something that I feel fulfilled within my life, or please send me something that is going to help to pay for the groceries at the end of the month. So I really invite you to listen to the information that I'm about to share. And it's mainly about the science behind the products, because like Sarah had mentioned earlier today on a call, we are all affected by these products. But how we use and share that information is really what made a huge difference in my life, on many different levels. So I think ultimately I'm reading a book, and it's all about how ultimately our core, at our core, we're really looking at how we can, one, survive, and then beyond that, how we can thrive. So we're going to share with you just a little tidbit on that. And so yes, I'm going to go ahead and get sharing here. Yay. And let me start here. So I'd like to, let me just minimize that. I'd like to share here that this is the epitome of our lives. This is what we see, right? Every single day on Instagram or Facebook or whatever. I don't know about lately, but this is the epitome of what we want. This is how we want to thrive. This is how we want to survive. Eating healthy foods. We're on vacation. We're having fun with our friends. We have a community that we've built. We're saving money. We're putting money in the bank, because we're doing so well. We're out there exercising and just doing healthy things for us and our family. Well, this is really nice, and honestly, hopefully we're at least reaching 1/10 of this potential. But for the most part, this is when I talk to people, especially nowadays during this epidemic, this is what we're really actually facing. We're facing social media as actually just so much undue stress that is underlying in our world, that is really, should I send my kid back to school? Should I not? What's going on with the world? Where are we with politics? I mean, there's so much coming at us. There's, not enough money at the end of the day. Like this, it looks like this student or this dad is trying to figure out how to make ends meet. This mom over here on the right, I feel like, oftentimes at the end of the day, I'm like, oh my gosh, do I have enough energy just to cook dinner? And if not, am I running through McDonald's just one last time? I promise I won't go through there again. These are a lot of people's reality. And then this top right picture is showing us like we are constantly engaged and overstimulated with so much just to make ends meet. So if this is the real prevailing world that we're living in, what is that doing to us on a low grade level of stress? And how is that ultimately adding up? That is one of the reasons why somebody invited you here. But if we go back and we look at this quote by Dr. Bruce Daggy, let's build wellness rather than treating disease. This is the key, guys. When we actually can put our choices in front of each other and actually learn to do one step at a time, take one step at a time, feel better, do more. That is the whole key to understanding this. And I'm going to show you a way that is uniquely different than everything else that you may have heard of in your life. So we're going to look at it through the lens of actually epigenetics and biohacking, okay? So epigenetics, the study of epigenetics, actually tells us, I love this fact, 97% of our genetic code can actually be changed through the choices that we make. And see, these are some of the choices that we can actually look at to the right here, and how we can actually biohack. And so when I first heard biohack, I was like, not about it. I grow my own stuff. I have my own supplements. Like you know, the granola of the Hawaiian world, you know, like biohacking sounds so foreign and so chemical, so made up in some weird scientific lab. But when I understood that biohacking really just means that I get to choose. I get to choose what my genetic outcome is by the choices that I make. I'm taking control of my inner environment so that it shows up on my outer environment. I was all about it. And I knew that I had been biohacking for a really long time. And one of the things that I like to point out is this last one, relationships and community. You don't really realize it, but that is actually part of thriving and surviving. When we become a tribe, when you create community, when you're uplifted by others, you're actually stimulating a part of your heart that actually wires with your brain. And guess what? It's changing your genetic outcome to actually improve your immunity and your immune system. You are better equipped by having loving relationships and community and a sense of purpose to actually combat anything that might be coming at us, either genetically or even in today's world with COVID and pandemics and, you know, everything that's just really bombarding us. So today we're going to take a quick look at what it means to have health span. Because when we can increase our health span, we're increasing our lifespan. And that is what we want to do. So we're going to look at lifestyle. We're going to talk about environment. And we're going to talk about how all of that really plays into our genetics and how we can actually change that genetic expression like we've been talking about. And what we're going to talk about, and I love sharing this slide here, is we're going to talk about oxidative stress. Okay, what is oxidative stress? I'm a very visual person, so I'm going to share it to you straight up and forward. Here's this apple, okay? Liken it to our beautiful cells that we're born with, and the normal cell that we're given basically at birth. We take that apple, may cut it in half, or we may actually just leave it on the counter. Well, guess what? Oxygen starts to hit that apple, and actually, if you cut it in half, it's not very much longer, maybe a couple minutes, if that, where it starts to turn brown. That's what's called oxidation. So when you look at that on a cellular level, what's happening is those oxygen molecules that keep us alive also are one of the key factors in the demise of our aging, you know, system. Because what happens is these oxygen molecules, they are mispaired and they become what is known as free radicals. And so they start to attack our cells. So the integrity of the cells then starts to decline. So we start to see and reap the ages of aging. Okay, what we don't want to get to is this last column here in our cellular health, because that means that we're actually depleting our body so poorly that we're actually seeing the demise of the cell. That means that either it's dying off, that which typically shows up in the cognitive issues, or it's splitting off, and we're seeing more and more cancers, you know, show up in our societies. So written out, oxidative stress is an imbalance between the production of free radicals due to the numerous daily exposures and assaults happening to our bodies and the inability of our bodies to actually detoxify those harmful effects, okay? So we're being bombarded by sextillion amount of free radicals daily, guys. And I'm talking from like anywhere, mastication actually causes free radicals. That's the process of eating. Okay, cell phone towers, too much exercise, too little exercise, what else? You name it. There's so many things that are coming at us. You know, Roundup, I mean, that is just like a huge thing. So many environmental toxins. Just the stress of the fact that we have, I love it the way Daisy says, it's our friend, too much month at the end of the money. Like, that's huge, you know? So when this starts to take effect in our bodies, we end up having much more decline and things, you know, show up as imbalances in our body or dis-ease. So when we can introduce to you a concept of actually activating our cells, this is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to be activating, not supplementing our cells, our nutrition. We are actually doing this by a cell signaling pathway. And I'm going to explain that in a little bit here. Might have to come back to this because I did this. But we are actually coming together and activating our cells through all natural ingredients, all natural herbs that have been important to me, that I've even grown in my garden, like I was saying, or had in my cupboard of very high quality, because I did my research of what I was putting into my body and if it was going to be effective. But here's the key: synergy. When we put these herbs, these indigenous herbs that have been working for centuries together, they work like none other. You know, they might work here. There's graphs, you know, showing how effective they are with actually combating oxidative stress. Put them all together synergistically in this patented formula that we have. It's amazing. 1,800 times higher is the effect of actually reducing our oxidative stress. That is huge. That is what is unique. That's why we're passionate about sharing today. So I get this question a lot. Why is our diets and our supplements that we're taking not enough, Kamali? Like, and I coach this, right? I share with people, no, you cannot sit on the couch and drink beer and eat Cheetos, guys, and take this pill and think that you are doing something. You're probably maybe staying ahead of it a little bit, but no, we definitely want to include diets that are rich in, you know, foods that are rich in protein and amino acids, definitely ones in antioxidants. We're going to talk about that today a little bit more in depth. And cruciferous foods, meaning kale, broccoli, cauliflower, and definitely sulfur-rich foods, so that we can actually help our bodies to maintain and stay ahead of the curve.
Here's the video, Val.
Oh,
Here's the video.
mute themselves. Yay. I can't see you. Thank you. So when we take a look at when we eat antioxidants, because antioxidants is really what's helping to balance off or to ward off those free radicals that we were talking about, right? Okay, so we've known this for what, 15, 20 plus years? Well, guys, the synergy that I was talking about, you would have to drink 89 glasses of red wine. A lot of people like that part, but I don't know about the next day. 375 fresh oranges, 11 pounds of blueberries, and 15 pounds of dark chocolate a day to get to the synergistic blend that one little beautiful, all natural activator is doing for our bodies. So I like to show this slide because basically when you break it down, you're looking at one free radical canceling out, one antioxidant canceling out one free radical. And when you talk about those 6 trillion amounts of free radicals that I mentioned, you are basically, it's like putting a Dixie cup of water onto this blazing fire here. You know, you can't eat enough, you can't, you know, consume enough of our nutrients, you know, through our foods and even our supplements, because they're really going through that back door, hoping to absorb through our gut, and hopefully our gut is healthy, okay, to actually absorb the nutrients that we need. But when we go back to that slide where we're talking about actually cell signaling, activating our cell signaling pathways, imagine that this little yellow dot right here, guys, is actually the all natural ingredients that I'm talking about. And what if it actually communicates to the cell on the cell pathway, right? Talks to the cell, and what it does is the cell recognizes it because it's activating a certain pathway in our bodies, known pathways, to actually go in, and it's likened to flipping a switch on in our cell systems to turn on our body's ability to make millions of antioxidants per second per cell. Wow, that is huge. That is huge. And that is why I was so excited when I went to go learn, when I went to go just have my glass of red wine and listen to the girls, and I, with my arms crossed, I started to listen. Okay, so we're doing this again through what is now known as nutrigenomics. We're biohacking with nutrigenomics. So that all it's doing is we're taking the scientific study of nutrients, like we talked about, and the natural compounds coming together, and how that is affecting genetic expression. And who are we? We are actually LifeVantage. I am so proud to say that this is the company that I've locked arms with. This is the company that whoever invited you locked arms with, and we locked arms together. We are a strong tribe of loving human beings and individuals who care about others. And we are sharing about how LifeVantage has been at the forefront of nutrigenomics for the last, 11 years now. Okay, they came out with a study, they came out with an ABC primetime report because they tried to go and debunk Dr. McCord's and his team's claims on what this could actually do. And John Quinones went in to debunk us. He went in, tested his blood. In 2 weeks' time, his oxidative stress was reduced by 45%. They likened his blood before the age of 20. It was absolutely amazing. So how do we do this? Why are we so excited? We do this by really approaching the 3 theories of aging. We just went over one, which is activating our NRF2 pathway. Okay, now we're going to be talking about all 3, and it's just going to go rather quickly. So here's the NRF2 products. It's just turmeric, milk thistle, green tea, bacopa, and ashwagandha. So when I say that all of these were in my cupboard, all but one, all but the bacopa I wasn't aware of. And like I said, I did my homework. I did my study. I've been doing this for the last 18 plus years. But it's that synergistic blend that helps to lower our oxidative stress by an average of 40% within 30 days, which is huge. That's what we can definitely claim, up to 70% within 120 days. But the part that I really like to highlight is that when we're increasing our glutathione, which is part of that master antioxidants, part of the upper tier of our antioxidants, we're doing huge benefits. Guys, in the last 2 weeks, I've seen probably 3 different studies come out on either in medical journals and or published on PubMed saying that low glutathione is actually at the very root cause. They're looking at it as the root cause of being susceptible to the coronavirus. So when we can activate our bodies to actually make glutathione, we have a better chance to actually ward off, one study says, protect the viral capsid. So this is just beautiful news that we can't help but sharing. Okay, these are some of the things that it does. I love that I can say, I have no idea what it's going to do in your body. I really don't. Because guess what? It's an all-natural product. It's going to work with your body. It's upregulating and downregulating the survival genes. Okay, so whatever your body specifically needs, you're your own thumbprint of a beautiful human being with different things. But guess what? We all have the same mechanisms going on. We just are affected by our stories, our environment, our health choices. Okay, so this is going to go in your body and actually work with your body specifically. It helps to rejuvenate and repair the cells. It helps to support our inflammatory systems. You can see all of these things. And this is the only dietary supplement proving to extend median lifespan. There's a study on that. Please ask the person that introduced you to this. Over 250 illnesses and diseases are linked at the root cause of these illnesses to oxidative stress. Don't take my word for it. Do your own research. Take this down, pubmed.gov, pubmed.gov, okay? Do your homework. That's what I did. I was like, you're not telling me nothing new. Like I said, I had my arms crossed. But when I did my homework and I did my studies and I looked up oxidative stress and autism, oxidative stress and whatever was coming at me, I really understood, like, wow, this is powerful. It is so powerful that all these organizations, 26 in fact, have actually published their own medical studies on PubMed.gov. PubMed.gov is the National Institute of Health's library. It's where doctors go to actually find valid studies, valid papers as they call them, to really understand, okay, what's behind this? How is this going to help my client? All of these, John Hopkins, American Association, Heart Association, all of these have come together to do their independent paid studies outside of our company on NRF2 because of the research that our company has done. In fact, NRF2 activation is noted as potentially the most extraordinary therapeutic and preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine, Washington State University. Okay, guys? So we talked about NRF2 signaling pathway. Now we're going to talk about NRF1 real quickly. Okay, I want to honor your time here. So again, all natural products, but what this is doing is this is actually coming together to actually support our mitochondria. So what is our mitochondria? Our mitochondria actually produce up to 95% of our body's energy. It's like the powerhouse of each and every cell. But when we start to age, again, that expression, because mitochondria actually reproduces itself, that expression actually gets lower and lower and lower in vibrancy, as I like to explain it, in energetic ability to actually function the way that we were supposed to, as, like I said, as we were young. So if you go back to here, it actually, this was huge for me because I was a mom that was not sleeping well at all. A lot of us have sleeping issues, a lot. And this really helped me to get the deepest sleep I had had in over 5 years. So that, and along with cognitive and brain health, cardiovascular systems, this is very important to our health. This is another theory of aging that scientists and doctors have been studying for decades, okay? And the last one that I want to make mention of is NAD. Now, when we activate that cell signaling pathway, what we're doing is, NAD is a molecule. It's found, again, in our cell. But when the doctors and researchers, not related to our company, for decades, did research on intermittent fasting, on caloric restriction, I'm talking 500 to 800 calories per, per day for very long periods of time, guess what? NAD kicked up its own natural production, and then they found that, oh my gosh, it's feeding what we now know as sirtuins. Sirtuins, okay, this is a little science heavy, I know, I'm getting a geeky on you. Sirtuins are likened to the CEO or the guardian angel or the mama of our cells. They can go in, it's like a messy room, they can go into that messy room, pull apart the DNA, find out, what's messy, what's defunct, fix it, put it all back together, and then clean house on the outside and send that cell in its happy, merry way. Functioning and talking to other cells the way that it was intended to do. So we have as team pro athletes on this. They're recovering faster. They're sleeping better. It's just amazing what it's supporting. And even if you're not a pro athlete, guess what? This is improving things such as positive mood and motivation, our physical energy, our mental clarity. All of these things are greatly needed, especially during these times where we're being bombarded and overstimulated with so much low-lying levels of stress. Okay, so at the end of the day, basically, this is what we're doing. We're just aiding our bodies. We're giving our bodies a tool to actually get in front of everything that's coming at us. And you didn't think that maybe you were invited to this call, or you may not think that I'm young, I'm this, I'm that. Check it out. Do your research. It is amazing how many young people are suffering from autoimmune diseases, from overexertion at school, from excess pressure, from just the world in general. There's so many different stresses that you don't really attribute to, oh, I eat well, I do this. But when we can give ourselves another tool to actually accelerate our health benefits, guess what? Oops, sorry. This is, I'm going to come back to this. At the end of the day, this is what we're doing. We're living better with the people we love in health. And that is where we're going to increase our health span, our lifespan. Okay, that is invaluable. I love this quote. We are no longer supplementing our deficiencies. We're no longer chasing our tails. We're literally activating our pathways to control the aging and the healing process. So I hope I kind of gave you a little bit to chew on. Activation versus supplementation. This is a fast pathway to talking to the cell. This is a slow, gradual complement to what we need to actually maintain our health. Okay, we are at something that is the forefront of nutrigenomics and very, very key of the forefront of the way we're going to be doing health from now on out. I promise you, this is huge. All right, and this is how we do it. We at LifeVantage take biohacking very seriously. We don't have a very large arsenal of products, but we have very specific and very unique products. So anti-aging, that's kind of what we went into. Cellular health, we take our brain health very seriously. Brain health, gut health. Gut health, we know, is actually supporting our brain. It's our second brain, is our OPU, or our gut health. And we take that actually into our weight management system, which it's amazing. Okay, then we take all that science and we've actually helped and figured out how do we create a drink right here that gives us a little extra clarity, that helps to support our overworking, overstimulated brains. That's through what's called nootropics, smart energy. Look it up or ask the person that got back to you. And then of course our skin is our largest organ. So we want to protect against not only adding more salts to our body, like chemicals and toxins that are actually being poured onto our body, but we want to actually protect it and go with a skincare that is non-toxic, a hair care that is non-toxic. And then we're also obviously really passionate about, almost sometimes more passionate about our kids, right? And our pets. And they're such a huge, our pets are such a huge part of our hearts and our families, and we want to take care of them. Anything that breathes oxygen, we have equine, horses on this. My kitty cat takes this, our dogs, huge. So we have a beautiful call that actually goes into that. How do you get started? Well, this is how you get started. This is how I would suggest doing it. At least get started on a trisynergizer pack, guys. This is $4.17 per day. Can you look at how you could possibly cut out something that maybe isn't going to help you to live longer in a healthier state of life? Like maybe you can cut out that extra Monster or that extra Starbucks or that extra whatever it is, cut that down just a little bit so you can reinvest into your health, because you're going to need it. We need it these days. $127.99 a month on a recurring basis. All of our doctors, we have over 2,000 in our company that have joined forces with us, that see the light, because they're like, oh my goodness, this is huge. They recommend that you take this for 1 month for every decade that you've been alive. Okay, so if I'm nearing 50, 49, I'm going to want to give it a good 4.5, 5 months before I really know what it's going to do to my body. But I kid you not, probably around anywhere between a month to 2 months, you're going to feel some significant changes. Majority of the people that I love and deal that have tried this, it felt the same. So oops, keeps going backwards. Another way that you can get invested is actually bundling and saving. If you're thinking, okay, well, I want to do this not only for me, but I've got my auntie, I've got my husband, my kids, and it's safe. We can talk about that in certain circumstances. We can get you some proportions that are safe for kids as well, and what is safe for kids. But this is the way to do it. You can bundle and save. You can save up to 30% here on this larger starter kit. This is huge. Okay, and 60% of the people that actually take our products and are feeling and having amazing testimonies get on our Wednesday wellness call. It'll make you cry, because we share stories like testimonies, which I'm not doing here. But when you start to take these and you want to start to share, we give you an opportunity to do that by giving you a sample kit as well, because we're always looking to join forces with people that actually want to possibly do the same. Share the good news, be engaged in something that is greater, something that is helping people, and something that can honestly keep us afloat. Our company is expanding. We're in almost 24 countries now, and we're always looking for motivated individuals to lock arms with us. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, and you're welcome to ask me any questions that you may have. We can stay afterwards if you'd like. But that was a brief overview. And like I said, I am happy to jump on anybody's call with anybody if you need any more specific answers, questions answered. But if you're open to asking here, I am more than happy to share what I know. Yay. Oh, I love you guys. Says my friend was wondering if these supplements are fermented. Ooh, that's a very good question. I don't believe so, but I can definitely look into that. And another thing is we can call customer service, but I know that we have huge quality control standards that we have to make. But I am more than happy to look that up. That's the first time I've ever been asked that question, so I don't know the answer to that one in particular. So, all right, guys. Well, if anybody else, oh, here's another question. When giving the children, is it always only NRF2, or can they graduate at some age to the others? Yeah, so basically, kids have an advantage, right? Because they're young. They are hopefully living in the place where they are, where they're actually able to do some of the things that that these products do for us after the age of 20. However, that doesn't mean that we're not being bombarded. Even in our cereals, you guys got to be very careful. You know, with Roundup and all of these different things assaulting our kids, we're showing up with a lot more ADD, ADHD things that where our kids can't focus as well. They're having a harder time. So guess what? The Axio is an excellent choice. If they don't like the taste of the stevia, which is actually an NRF2 activator, interesting enough, if they don't like that taste, like my son doesn't like it, sometimes I'll just put it in the in his yogurt or make little icicles out of it. He'll eat that. Different ways that you can do that. NRF2 definitely is going to help to reduce that inflammation if there is anything that you're a little bit concerned about your child, you know, it might be going on. My son actually on a daily takes the omegas. He chews 2 omegas and loves it because it's fresh. We have a boat to bottle relationship. We actually cold press the oils on the boat, so they're extremely fresh, and they have a little bit of lemon oil that's added to them, so he loves chewing those. He also takes on a regular basis, because I'm a very huge component of taking care of our microbiome. That's a very big huge thing for me, especially as an Indigenous Hawaiian practitioner. So he takes those, and even though those are smart, you know, they're encapsulated so that they actually have a smart release system, in our bigger bodies, if they can't actually swallow them yet, he just chews them, and I figure some, you know, probiotics is better than none. And then eventually, if your child is over 50 pounds and they are experiencing some deficiencies, I do have a mom that has some challenged children, and she actually was stoked to get her, I think her 10-year-old and maybe 12-year-old, both on NRF1 as well, because a lot of the other huge baskets of both natural and pharmaceutical things that she had to give the boys, one boy and one girl, every single day, actually was all found in our NRF1, building that mitochondria. She knows a lot about mitochondrial dysfunction. So you can work it up, but that's probably something that we want to, you know, maybe have a side conversation. I'm sorry, I'm going off. I just love this. I can talk for days. So, yay. Anything else? I just love having everybody on here, and I truly, truly, truly just love that we get to share, that we are in such a position to be here, and to have all of you just listening in. It just really touches all of our hearts. So thank you so much. Oh, you're welcome, Cindy. I love you. Yay. And you know, ask your person that invited you, you know, how do I get started, or how can I get any more information? Guys, we have tons of research that we can send you. We can even send you a piece of paper you can take to your doctor if you need to. We can send you doctors that have been talking about it. I mean, there is just an endless amount of beautiful information. So, all right, please invite next week. Who needs to know about this? Thursday, same time, same place, 2:30, and I promise I won't talk that long. Nah, that's not me. Bye, you guys. Aloha. Oh, thank you, hun.